Hello, my name is Don Wren, and I had a request to make up a tutorial on how I use the new assets from Pinnacle, the Fire alphabet. So let's first take a look at the idea that I came up with. As you can see, I did incorporate the smoke alphabet in with this project. So let's get started. First, you need a base, and I am actually using a pitcher. It's black, and you can do exactly the same thing if you want to place this on your video. So your video would be your beginning point. You bring down the letters, and just so you know, mine was very easy. I just decided to use Dawn. But if your word is 18 letters long, guess what? You're going to have 18 tracks to work with. So choose wisely. When you do bring down the font, it will be in the center. Okay? I decided to make a step, meaning that I wanted my letters to come in at a different time. So what you would do is you bring in the first letter, and then you would adjust accordingly. As you can see, I had to set the horizontal for negative 24.6 or 25. The O is pretty much at the center point, but it wasn't because of the larger D, and that was at 6. And then finally the N, it was 19 to the right. So you would just have to adjust your letters to accommodate the size that you have. So you can either shrink it down or enlarge it. I left it at the normal size, which was 100. I then had them fade out at different times because I wanted to add in the smoke effect, but you do not have to. What you would do then is your letters would be starting off at the same time, all of them, and then end at the same time, and then you can have them fade out at that moment. Okay? But since I did do the step method, of course, the D came in first and left first, and on and on and on. So for the smoke effect, if you do decide to use it, it is a totally different font. So you have to make allowances for this. So you have to think outside the box. So first off it is supposed to be straight. Well, as you can see, the D is at an angle. So I, in turn, incorporated the angle. The other thing is that when you do use the smoke one, is that it actually starts off and then dissipates. Well, I couldn't have that, so I had to come in, adjust just before it went off into a poof, cut it, got rid of it, and that way when the fire was just beginning to fade, the smoke effect would come into play. Same thing with the O, and same thing with the N. Now the N was difficult because of it. The way they had their N was more cursive. So all I did is I took the N, and I think you've already figured it out. I turned it around. Once again, I took off the lock on the size and I adjusted accordingly to make it as close as possible. Okay. Now, this is just a little added tidbit. It may never happen to you, but it did with me, and I don't want you to get frustrated thinking, oh wow, you didn't, I don't know what to do now. After I put the majority of these on the timeline, my screen froze. I got a glitch. So all I did was I went up to File, I hit Save, I put a title on it, and then I closed everything out. Or you can do the same thing. You can come over to the X, close it out, put a title on it, and then let the whole system shut down, reopen it, and I was able to go through everything with absolutely no problem. So it's just a little in case you need to know. All right. The next thing I did was is I added sound effects. Once again, you do not need to use sound effects, but I do have a very large library of the stuff. So for the beginning, it's called Fireball, and just kind of like it just gives the effect of it starting off and roaring. Then at that point, I went to just a regular standard fire effect. And since I used 3 letters, I incorporated the first one. And then when the second letter was starting to appear, I faded it in. And then faded in the last one. I just wanted to give that sound of 3 distinct sound effects. And then when they started fading out to the smoke, one by one, I edited it down. Then I added, it's called, actually, believe it or not, it's called Poof of Smoke. And I incorporated those sound effects so that when they disappeared, you got the poof. So I just wanted to reiterate that a lot of these things I have been taught and trained by Paul Holtz, which is on this site that you're looking at. And please, everything you need to know is on that. He is awesome. And he always sitting there telling you, think outside the box. And that's exactly what I do now. So I hope this was helpful and enjoy and just go off and make something. See you later. Bye bye.